Dr. G, I'm so excited to finally have you on my show because you've been on my wish list for a long time now. So thank you so much for carving out time to be here with me and all of our listeners.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm sort of being intentional about all the podcasts that I'm on, and I know that we've been wanting to do this for a while. So sorry it took so long. It's just that I took a break from. It's sometimes it get wear on you. You're doing interviews all the time. You sometimes you just need a little moment to just be, a little peace.
Oh, totally. I mean, first of all, congratulations, because I know that you recently just crossed over 2 million downloads, and that's a
Yeah.
big deal.
Thank you. Thank you. It's nice. It's nice because sort of like for people like you and me, when we're in it, we don't really stick our heads up all the time and know like, oh, I wonder what the impact is of this. And then having that feedback, you're like, whoa, this is pretty cool. When you stop and think, I don't know, for me, I was like, what does a football stadium hold? And then, or like a soccer stadium. And I'm like, wow, more of that. I was like, that's a lot of people.
That is a lot of people. No, it is. And it's just going to continue to grow. I mean, it's a massive ripple effect. I mean, Heal Thyself, your podcast it's one of you, first of all, are one of the most trusted sources that I turn to for really all things wellness. You're an integrative physician. You are an authority in non-toxic living. And I'm really excited because that's one area specifically that I haven't taken deep dives into yet into the podcast. I've had a lot of our mutual friends on the show, doctors that are incredible, but I really am excited to tap into that. Before I even take us down rabbit holes, I just want to ask you, what's lighting you up right now in, your life, in the space of health, wellness? I mean, really all of it.
Right now, there's been many evolutions into like the way I approached health and wellness. And when I came out of school, there was a massive like push for nutrition. So I was really into having people change their diet as best as possible. And then that evolved into understanding, okay, because I worked with cancer initially when I came out. Cancer is just not like diet changes, there's a lot more to it. So then it sort of evolved into the influx of evolution and the evolution of environmental medicine and letting that into my practice and understanding like what's in our home, what's in our work office, what's in our car, what are we breathing in, what are we putting in our skin, and also what are we putting on our mouth as part of it, like water and food. But there's so much more to it, right? What are we exposed to? Then that evolved into, okay, well, even though we're exposed to all of that, how do we optimize our resiliency? How out of touch are we with nature such that we're predisposed to all of these things that we're being exposed to? So then I was like, okay, how do we strengthen people's systems? And now what I'm understanding in my evolution as a practitioner is that one of the main contributors to a weakened full system head to toe is mental emotional trauma that's being held into the body, stuck into the body. And how do we release that for people? Because when I was in school, my understanding was that when we do clinical health therapy, clinical, we do like psychiatry. We just covered the whole mental health realm with all different forms of classes. And what I understood was, okay, well, unless someone has a really bad like sexual abuse, domestic abuse, childhood abuse, something like that, that's real trauma. Yeah. And as I learned through time, I was like, every single person walking this earth is holding on to something. And what they're holding on to, it varies in size and energy and density. But to be honest, man, it's wild. And then when you facilitate a release of that emotion, and I'm talking about 10-year, 5-year, 20-year, 30-year that you've been holding on to this, when you see that, then the body is its most resilient because the nervous system isn't holding on and utilizing so many resources like the immune system to protect that. It's so crazy because I've seen just with one emotional release, I've seen gut issues for somebody 25 plus years, snap of the finger, next day, completely gone. And I'm talking about, they went to every functional doctor, every naturopathic doctor, they took every supplement, they've tried every single diet because we're not getting to the root of the roots of the roots. And for me, that is one of the, if not the root. So it's been really interesting journey.
That's so good. I mean, I always say, we are a system of systems, and why I really love and turn to integrative medicine is because it is the whole picture. And, you know, my brand, Black Belt Beauty, it's a holistic high performance lifestyle brand. Holistic being like a lot of emphasis because personally, I'm not interested in just high performing in one area. And I'm a firm believer that to really be a high performer, to optimally perform in life, it's the whole picture. And so, you know, some things that I love about you and what you share too, it's yes, we're going to go diet, environmental health. You talk about journaling, meditation,
Yeah.
social connection, and all of that is the whole picture that is so important. So I love that you just kicked us off on that note. It's so amazing and important, really, more
Yeah,
than ever.
it's true. It's true. And that's true holistic health, right? Like
Yeah.
for me, the best doctors out there are the ones who, when they're talking to you, you go over the chief complaint, like a gut issue, and then that's touched on, you get the idea, and then you move to it, and then you ask head to toe, what's your connection, not only just you, but you with the world. And then you start doing an audit of all of that as a whole and seeing like, this person, of course, this person has gut issues. They are so out of touch with their true nature, both mentally, emotionally, physically, in every single way. And then you facilitate those interventions, put them back closest to nature, whether it's with a diet closest to their nature, exposure to sun going down, exposure to community or evolutionary tribes, as we talked about, and then you reassess, and then of course the trauma element. Then you reassess, and then I'd venture to say that most people, that person wouldn't come back with gut issue because they weren't necessarily intolerant to, and I don't eat gluten because I know it bothers me still, but they weren't necessarily intolerant to gluten. Maybe they weren't. Maybe their body was hypervigilant with a nervous system holding on to trauma and being so out of sorts with nature that it was simply overreacting to that protein. It's crazy. It's crazy. That's true holistic health.
It's so crazy. And, you know, something that comes to my mind, it's really interesting. And it's still, I mean, I think we are making major progress here, but like a lot of people, when they hear ND, it's like, oh, well, you're not an MD, you're an ND. And it really frustrates me because, listen, I mean, I'm not saying that, you know, there aren't great MDs. Certainly there are. But I'm just a geek who has taken a lot of time. I'll be 43 on Sunday. I've invested a lot of time in health, wellness. I mean, neuroscience, physiology.
Yeah.
I run deep in the game, right? So, you know, for me, when in taking in all this information, high quality evidence from incredible experts like you, who I really trust, like the source is so important, you know, and you know, I still hear those things about like, ND or, oh, it's natural or, you know, this can all, like, for example, what you just shared can sound so far out. And then to a certain extent, I understand that, but it really is the shit. It's like, no, we need to be looking, we need to, you know, when you go into a clean room, you need to make sure the closet's clean, the drawers are clean, underneath the bed is clean. I know I'm kind of stretching, I'm an artist, I could do that. But what I'm saying is like, everything needs to be evaluated, right? And I think you just explained that so beautifully. And to me, I personally, and I know that my community as well, we find more trust in individuals like you who are actually looking that deep under the hood, you know. So important.
Yeah, and in the eyes of sometimes conventional medicine, it can be overkill because let's say they go, well, there's no evidence in trauma being held in the body, and there's no evidence of it you know, reversing gut issues. But how the heck are you going to quantify? You're going to put electrodes on someone before you can check their brain, but how are you going to quantify the release of energy? How are you going to quantify how much crap someone's holding in? I think to be a true, to be beyond a doctor, right? To be a true healer, you have to understand that there's a lot of energies at play that we are not seeing, nor do we have any idea or understand in studies, right? Even nutrition, we think we understand, but food has constituents and chemicals and we have no idea what the heck they do. There is nothing in medicine where anyone is an expert on anywhere. Understand that, because the most data that we've discovered for a particular field in medicine is still nowhere near enough to understand. Do you understand what I'm saying?
A
Like we don't
hundred
understand
percent.
we don't understand the body.
Well,
Doctors don't understand the body. We don't have
yeah.
enough information to understand it. Nowhere near. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Oh, it's a solid point. I mean, when you think about, for example, gut health, which is a hot topic, I mean, how much more we know now versus 5 years before, 10 years before. And it's like, where are we going to go? I mean, obviously, and then even just in the spheres of nutrition, you know, fat used to be the enemy, and it's great. And look how much we've evolved. So it is, I love that you said that. I mean, that's a very powerful statement. And it resonates with me because I feel like we're just in this constant state of discovery. And I do agree. I feel that the best doctors, experts in the field of health and wellness are really people who are open-minded to that idea that, oh wait, we've got a long way to go here.
Like I was gonna say, the best in any field, not even just medicine, are the people who go, I don't know anything. You know, like I don't know anything. I'm working to know everything, but I also know that we don't know everything. See what I mean?
100%.
I think that if we can humble ourselves a little bit, right? Because I met a lot of cocky physicians, and I was like, you don't know shit. Like you don't know, like you don't know. But if we all work together with what we do know, I think we can do, and that's why I love integrative medicine so much. I can't say a lot of doctors are open, a lot more, I would say more resistant to integrating our own level of expertise or what we know a lot about. And working together. And I think that there's a lot of pushback and resistance because it threatens the paradigm of, it's such a closed-minded paradigm of, you come to me, I give you medicine, you go home. Like what?
Right.
Where did you get to the root cause of my gut issues though? You know?
Right.
Did we even go over what I'm eating? Just at the very least, because sometimes that doesn't even happen. You know?
I know, it's crazy. I know, because a lot of it, I mean, I even have coaching, clients that I coach, and they'll talk to their doctors about specific things and they don't get asked those questions, or they'll present an idea in that direction and the doctor will steer them away in another. It's crazy. It's very frustrating.
But it's the training, right? Like that every single doctor who's in the conventional paradigm I've met is very well intentioned. They come with the same intentions as functional doctors and naturopathic doctors. The difference between all of us is that functional naturopathic doctors do not have our hands behind our backs. We are trained to explore outside of just the medication. The paradigm that they live in the toolbox that they live in, is when they go for their tool belt, all they have is the training of an algorithm of what medication to take, to give the patient. For us, we go, oh, well, we can actually do more testing than conventionally seen. We can actually see how your hormones are metabolizing. We can actually see what your red blood cells look like in terms of nutrition, right? So we can see long-term nutrition. These should be staples. It doesn't matter, conventional, functional, naturopathic, they should be staples across the board. They're not. That's the difference, because and that's the reason why your coaching clients are just like, what the heck, they didn't ask, because there's no training in nutrition. So what it's like you coming to me. We've took pharmacology. I can't say I'm an expert in drugs and prescriptions. But it's like you're coming to me and you're like, doc, I need to know like the top 5 prescriptions to take for all these diseases. Give them to me all. I'm like, I don't prescribe medicine. I took it 10 years ago in med school, like I wouldn't claim to even want to do that. So I think we got to all work together. So for the people, when someone comes to me for medication, I go, hey, listen, this is not my MO, but I have someone really good for this. And then that's how we work integratively.
I love that. I mean, I even do that in my in coaching, in my business. It's like, I'm not trying to act like I know all the answers. I want to help you get to your fullest potential. And if there's outsourcing that has to happen, then, I work with literally my doctors, like my one of my very best friends, who's also my doctor, is Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, who's a mutual friend.
She's a great friend of mine.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I will, send my clients to her because obviously I'm not a doctor, but, I focus on mindset empowerment. Okay, well, if this system isn't supporting that mindset to be functioning at optimal levels, then it doesn't matter. It's not about positive thinking. It's about everything working together. So I love that concept. And I'm hopeful that this starts to become more of of what we experience. I mean, it literally hurts when, you know, I know what I know in terms of health and wellness. And I see, you know, a lot of people who are stuck in the insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, God, I want you to get comprehensive blood labs so you can really
Yeah.
understand. And it's, you know, it's out of their reach because of where things are at. It's
And that's how
gnarly.
imperfect, the naturopathic and functional medicine is too. Like, we can't have, I mean, let's say a college student who's making ends meet, and they want to come and get a test.
Yeah.
More likely than not, they're not going to get covered by insurance. And that's a problem, because insurance just doesn't cover the tests that we most need.
Yeah.
We need, I mean, look, I have a handful of clients. I work with them every single year. We do hormone testing, nutritional testing, toxin testing every single year. None of those tests are covered. That, you know, and the beautiful thing is they're well off enough to be able to pay for it. But what about like the college student, or what about someone who's not in college and someone who just can't afford it, but wants it and needs it? That's the part that sometimes really I struggle with, because I'm like, how do we have more accessibility? You know, but the nice thing is, in functional naturopathic medicine, we have people working and lobbying all the time, and that's their passion. That's their passion. So I'm like, you guys do what you do well, and make this happen, you know? And there is a push, trust me. And I wish everyone can have access to it. But at the very least, that's why I'm doing, just through education and media, what I do, because many of the things that I say, I still would be saying regardless of the blood test results. See what I mean? So as a whole, I'm like, all right, anyone can access, if they have a phone, social media. Anyone could go on my page or your page or anyone else's page who's saying like similar things and learn. It just takes more time, right?
Oh, totally. No. And I love that you just, because of literally that's where I'm taking this right now, because I was going to say, okay, look, you may not be able to afford all the testing and all the things, but that's why we have incredible experts like you know, whether it's your Instagram, your podcast, I mean, the things that you're putting out, these, you know, are applications that people can start to implement in their life. And let's start going down the rabbit hole. Let's talk about environmental medicine first. If you can just kind of, you know, give broad strokes of what that even means for people who may not know.
Yeah, for sure. I think we need to understand one thing, and this is sort of the thing that really brought a lot of clarity to me, is that the air inside our home can be 10 to 100 times, 10 times minimum, 100 times or more maximum, more polluted than the air outside. All right. So let's say you're living in New York in an apartment. It's more likely that even if you're living on Park Avenue and there's cars passing by and there's smog everywhere, that the air inside of your home is a lot more polluted. So when we think about that, then you go, why? Well, and this is the most unfortunate part. There's such poor regulation there's a movie actually called Dark Waters. Did you ever see that movie, Dark Waters, with Mark Ruffalo? I would urge people to watch it. It sort of gives a story about how PFAS, polyfluorinated chemicals, came into our environment, and they were brought out by DuPont, big industry. And you learn about the corruption behind how DuPont knew since the 50s and 70s that this was a very toxic chemical, and it was coming into our water supply, and it was poisoning residents of a town. But guess what? About 90% of people in the world have PFAS in their body. You probably have it. I probably have it. So let's keep that in mind. Now, when you think about why, don't we have EPA? Don't we have FDA? They're protecting us. Absolutely not. They're the loopholes. When I learned about how toxins are let into the environment by the EPA, it's sort of, we can say it's innocent till proven guilty. And the people who are providing the safety testing and doing the audit on the toxin is the chemical company which is releasing it. So I don't want anyone to don't think that the EPA is like standing at the border and going, oh, we have another toxin coming in. We'll let you out when we do a full evaluation. No, and there are thousands and thousands and thousands of new ones released every single year, right? And about let's say since the 70s, I think it's like 80,000 new chemicals have been released since the 70s, and only 12 have been evaluated. Let's keep that in mind. Now, the problem is we can't just evaluate one chemical and go, this is how they do it. They go, formaldehyde causes cancer. That's one chemical, but it's in a vacuum. Now let's think about, we're not just exposed to formaldehyde. We're exposed to BPA. We're exposed to benzenes. We're exposed to toluenes. We're exposed to PFAS. And this is on the daily. So this is what environmental medicine means. It means it's the study of what is the organism's relationship to the home. How is it affecting the organism? How is work, its whole environment? What about where it lives as a whole?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not only the perspective of just like toxins, it's also community, right? The community
Mm-hmm.
aspect, which I talk about.
Yeah.
What is your relationship with things outside of you? Because we know social isolation and loneliness is itself a toxin. Here's why. Yeah. It is as detrimental to human health as alcoholism and cigarette smoking. Mm. And people, this is the craziest one. When it comes to community, it's more important for your health than having an active lifestyle and weight loss. How is that possible?
That's
right.
Wonderful.
Right. Yeah. We're talking about just community, and that's one part of environmental medicine. So the point I try to make and empower people is go like this. Okay, I know that the larger organizations are not protecting me. Mm-hmm. Now, what the heck do I do? And this is where we teach people, okay, you may have just bought a new couch. Mm-hmm. And you might have gotten it from a place you didn't even think about. A lot of people go, I didn't even think about that. You may have bought a new mattress. Okay. I'm not urging people to throw away a new $2,000 mattress. But what I am urging people is to now understand that the air in your home is compromised more than it was before you got the mattress. So what about leaving the windows open as much as you can? What about investing in a high quality air filter that's cleaning it out? Mm-hmm. The best thing you can do is start taking an audit of your whole home and going, all right, you know what? I actually want to buy a new mattress. I've been in the market for one, or I wanted to buy a new couch. I'm moving. Now look for companies that are certified. Okay. And they have very specific certifications. So let's say for a bed, there's GOTS certified, GOTS, GOLS certified. That's for the latex. There's Green Guard certified. This is how you look for a bed. And I always urge people, we're on this thing 7, 8, 9 hours a night, every single day for a third of our life.
Right.
There's no people out there going, oh, you have hormone issues, right? You have cystic acne. Oh, you're not getting your period. And you eat well, you work out, your stress is good. Does anyone say, what about your home? Because now we know chemicals from the bed. We know for sure chemicals like BPA disrupt mm-hmm. hormones. Mm-hmm. And then, but someone goes, no one ever told me I was drinking from a plastic bottle all the time. Why didn't anyone say that? I was in college. I was drinking Deer Park by the 30 pack, what the heck? No one told me this. Yeah. And so this is what I'm trying to do, because what I found, and when I was working in cancer, I drew a big pie graph. Mm-hmm. And I used to write like as best as I can through lab testing and through having conversations with the patient, what I think were the causes, because cancer is multifactorial, different causes. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the time, nutrition would be a big chunk because they ate really poorly all their lives, inflammatory foods. And then all of a sudden, when I started incorporating environmental medicine, that chunk became bigger and bigger because I started testing more and more. Yeah. And my God, these people who had cancer across the board, multiple, let's say if we test for 300 different types of chemicals in the body, I would say at least half of them were high for cancer patients. And then I was like, holy shit. Yeah. I was like, why isn't I just came from a cancer hospital. Why isn't this test a gold standard for testing mm-hmm. for people with cancer? So this is why I try to really push environmental medicine, because I think it is a root cause. We didn't even get into mold. I think it's a root cause of so many physical diseases. Oh, it's a stress. It's a massive stress on the body. Now, couple that with mental emotional stress, mm-hmm. couple that with a crappy boss, couple that with a crappy partner, right. Couple that with something that happened to you in your 20s or in your teens that you're holding in. Right. How is your system so poorly resilient to all of these chemicals, right? Ugh. Let's think about all these things. So this is what I try to do.
So much. Oh my God, so much. I'm going to pull on a bunch of things, and we are going to talk about mold. I can't wait to talk about that with you. So, a couple of things that come to my mind, when you think about just even like your cleaners in the home or things like this, there's no chemicals in my home, right? Except I do admit, man, the hair stuff, beauty.
It's a hard one.
The hair is the hardest.
It's a hard one. Yeah, it's a hard one. I know. I hear a lot of women say, I tried. I can't find a good hair product. That's it. Maybe I'll make one.
Yeah, seriously though. I mean, there's still room, though. There's a lot of room for growth there, but every other aspect, I mean, from what I brush my teeth with to all of the things. And I could look really extreme. maybe, but for me, it's just that, no, I know a lot. It's like, I'm a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu practitioner, right? And one of the greatest things about Jiu Jitsu, I've trained for over 10 years, is you realize as you get deep into the game, how vulnerable you were just walking around, because when you're learning the defense against the offense, you're like, holy shit, I wasn't even aware of this offense, you know? So when I think about that in terms of health, the more you become aware of these toxins and these things, everything that you just explained, it becomes hard to not want to defend against them. And defense is like switching out for cleaner products, and moving in along the lines of more of this green kind of state of living. And so I guess one question that I want to ask is, for the individual that's like, I don't even know where to start, this is so overwhelming. Do you have like a 1, 2, 3 in terms of your home, things that you could focus on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. I think the mattress makes one of the biggest impacts, but not everyone's going to just throw away their mattress.
Right.
So we could start small, right? Air filter. You want to get an ultra HEPA air filter. I have no affiliation with any. I have an air doctor. I personally like that one. I also like the IQ Air, which is a little more expensive, but it has more range at cleaning. Those two are, I think every home should have an air filter, period. Because and as we get into mold a little bit, we'll talk about the majority of homes have water damage as it is. Yep. So if we can optimize the quality of air in our home, I think, and have the help of the air filter outside of just opening the windows and everything, that's going to be really helpful. I also would urge people to start doing an audit on the smaller things, like let's say their lipstick. You know what I mean? These are things that maybe if you put $2 more into, but the price difference makes a major difference in the body burden in the body, the toxic burden, body burden. So if you start thinking about how can I look over the things that I can change, and I always say environmental working group is a place where you can look up brands. You can type in lipstick and look at EWG verified brands that are going to be low in heavy metals, but going to be really low in a lot of those chemicals that are going into your body, like BPA.
Yeah.
So think about like your makeup, right? Your lipstick, your eyeliner, and then think about what are you putting in your body? What's being sucked up, like lotions, right? All of the creams that you're putting on in your body, concealers. Listen,
I love that you have all of them. All concealers.
I know it all. Listen, I'm from New Jersey, so I know all of the makeup that women use: bronzer, concealer.
The highlight.
I know the brands. I know the highlights. That's like a super exaggerated version of makeup. But listen, I know everyone from Jersey. I love you. I'm not hating. I just know these things.
Yeah.
And then I would say the last thing is your cookware. I would think about your cookware. We just spoke about Teflon, or PFAS coming from Teflon from DuPont. Well, a lot of these pans that people use without thinking are the nonstick pans. And these nonstick pans, I go, oh, it's great. Like my eggs don't stick. They come out perfect, like in the commercials. The problem is that the Teflon in itself is releasing these chemicals that are so toxic that if you had a bird, and anyone who does have a bird and you have nonstick pans, get rid of those nonstick pans. Because if you have a bird and you put the bird by the kitchen and it smells the smoke, it'll die instantly from those chemicals. Wow. So let's think about that. And also just the very action of cooking starts releasing, it releases, the combustion reaction releases chemicals into the air. So that's when you really want to turn on your air filter, and you'll see that it's overworking. The air doctor gets red and knows when I'm cooking every single time. So, all right. So to tie it up, get a good quality air filter, open the windows of your home, start doing an audit on what's going in your body for both like personal care product wise, makeup, lotions, and then think about your cookware. And what you want to do is get cookware that's either like stainless steel. You can do ceramic is sort of up in the air. There's not that many good cookwares, to be honest. Stainless steel, ceramic, and which one am I talking? I forgot about cast iron. Those are the ones but all of them have their downsides, right? Yeah. None of them are perfect, but switch if you don't have any of those to one of those.
Okay, no, that's a great starting point. That was really important to extract from you because again, I know that people are like this, it's almost like when they feel overwhelmed, they just don't do anything. It's paralysis. So it's like if you
Mm-hmm.
just give a few things to focus on, another thing, I just have to say this with you specifically, because I used to get shit for this, like, you're so dramatic. And I'm like, because I don't have synthetic fragrances and
Mm-hmm.
chemicals, when there's some shit like those candles or those air
Oh,
fresheners,
me
oh
too.
my, I can't. Or even perfume I can't.
I
And
can't. Me too. I can't. Cologne or perfume. I can't be near it.
it
And
suffocates.
do you want to know? Do you want to know why? The body adapts, right? So
Mhm.
the body will adapt to the environment it's given. It has like all of these feelers that are out that are censoring, and they're going dee 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 dee. They're like, oh, we've detected this. We've detected. Now, if it's doing it every single day, your body's going to adapt by creating the strengthening the detox mechanisms for that, let's say, particular chemical. So if you're living in a home full of mold, your
Mhm.
body's really working and upregulating all those genes to help detoxify that mold. If you're out of a moldy place and you're in a really clean place and your body's like, oh, finally I get to go back to my normal state, right? I'm in a more natural state.
Yeah.
And then you're exposed,
Mm.
those genes are not upregulated to keep detoxifying that mold. So
Mm.
that's why you are particularly sensitive. Because why? When I wore cologne, it didn't bother me at all when people wore cologne, right?
Mhm.
Or perfume. It didn't bother me.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that woman smells lovely. Now I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I have asthma around this woman. I get it. Or like the the plugins, the same thing. Yeah. So all that home stuff is like, it's not real. It's a real reaction in your body. It's not dramatic. It's just that your body is now it's sensitized to it instead of desensitized to it.
Yes. Oh, thank you. So valid. I mean, really, I don't give a shit, but like, honestly, just to have you validate is so nice.
Yeah,
And
just to understand it.
yeah, well, and I think another thing just to insert here is people don't realize the compounding effects
Yeah,
of all of this shit. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
BPA, like you're drinking I Mountain Valley's the only water I
Mm-hmm.
drink, really, right? Like glass. Um, I don't think people take it serious because you don't feel well until it's maybe too late or you're starting to really have problems, inflammation, DNA damage, like you,
Yeah. Oh,
right?
you don't feel DNA damage. You don't feel DNA.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So,
it's absolutely true. You'll have the body giving you whispers though, and this is
mm,
why we're so out of touch with our body, right?
yeah.
One practice, and I want to give everyone, is that every morning I like lay down, I close my eyes, and I feel from my toe all the way up to my head if anything feels off, if anything feels painful, if anything feels like uncomfortable, right? And I just bring awareness to that. So then I know the more sensitized we are to our body, the more we know what serves us. Our body's always talking to us. Our body's always going. This is how desensitized I was to my body. I was dousing cologne, putting Old Spice under my arms and all over my body. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah,
was
for sure.
I was
Yeah.
putting I was putting candles and Glade plugins. I'm like, yeah, my place smells amazing, and then drinking Deer Park water from the plastic. And it's like, but you don't feel it. Like that's how, like you don't
No.
feel it. Like
No.
but maybe my body was talking to me, right? Maybe
Yes.
when I started getting like these little bumps of psoriasis on my body, it was
Hmm.
because of those things. But I'm like, oh, I don't know what this is. My doctor says put on a cream,
Right.
like, and we don't know. We just
Right.
don't know. But
Yeah.
now, this is what I'm saying. Like the more you're in touch with your body, now for me,
Hmm.
and you, if you walk in, you smell a smell, or if I eat a food and I'm
Hmm.
like, whoa, I don't want that. Like I don't feel like I can eat that. Now I know exactly what foods work for me, which ones don't.
Yeah.
So start taking order of your body, start being sensitized to your body. So, like, holy crap, my body's been talking to me for the past 10 years. And I just been walking around not listening to it.
Okay, I love this so much. Okay, let's talk about mold. The
Mm.
funniest, the funniest tweetable mold is the new kale that came out when friends were hanging out recently, and I was just laughing so hard. And I mean, it's funny, but not funny because it's so true.
Yeah.
Can we talk about this? Because I think we're starting to hear about it more, but I think we need to turn the volume up on it even more so.
Okay. I'll put it this way. The CDC study is 46 to 50% of homes in America have water damage or mold. But you have to understand where they're getting those numbers. Those numbers are based on reporting. And let's say you in your home have a massive flood and you call your landlord and they call an expert to come in and they fix it, that expert reports it to the CDC, right? And they go, or whatever organizational body, that they get those numbers to tally it up and make a in their estimation, a strong one. But a flood in itself is water damage, yes, but mold doesn't just grow when there's a flood in your bathroom. Mold grows when there's any water damage in your house. Now, speaking to mold experts who come into the home, like mold inspectors who come into your home, it's more like 90% of homes in America have some sort of water damage. And you can guaranteed, if you find, let's say I came to your house and we go, let's check under your sink. We open your sink, we remove all the things from under your sink, and there's some buckling of the wood, or we see like a brown stain right around the pipes. Almost 100 out of 9 times out of 10. That was the numbers they were giving me. 9 times out of 10. There's going to be mold behind there. Now, what's the problem with mold? Mold in itself is like, without water, it doesn't thrive. It's like just a bunch of seeds hanging out, like a living mold pretty much is everywhere. But the water in itself, the conditions it needs temperature. It's basically living temperature, what we enjoy. It needs some sort of darkness. That's why it grows in the darkness, behind the walls, under the sinks. But it needs water. And unfortunately, just the way things are built, it's susceptible to water damage. Now for mold, it's pretty nasty because it's about 25% of us can't. We have a genetic change in our body that can't break down mold efficiently. I'm one of them. It's called the HLA gene. And what that means is mold toxins. Let's say you, me, Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, and another one of our friends we do a getaway in Montana, right? And you don't have the gene. Gabby doesn't have the gene, and our other friend doesn't have the gene, but I do. And then we're there for 2 weeks, and I start getting sick after the second day. My sinuses are messed up. My eyes are itchy. My skin, I start having skin disruptions. And then cognitively, I start getting like, oh man, I can't really think of the word that I was thinking of. It's such a simple word. What's the word? And you're like, Christian, it's river. What do you mean? It's river. And I was like, oh, I don't know why I can't. I just don't know. Right. Then I'm having constant fatigue. Then I'm having constant urination before bed. Then I'm having constant dehydration. It builds up. And the thing is, it's multisystemic. So then I go to the doctor, and the doctor says, it looks like you're tired or fatigued. Are you stressed? Maybe you're eating something, I like, maybe let's get some sleep or something, because, your brain isn't working. You can't diagnose mold like that, right? Like, it's multisystemic. So no one knows. I come back to you guys and I go, I don't know what's going on. And I suffer from it because for those mycotoxins, I have a 400% increase in my body versus you guys. That's crazy. So these toxins that mold is releasing, these spores, they have these toxins, mycotoxins, that we're breathing in. They're so tiny, we breathe them in through our nose, and they inflame our brain, and they go to our lungs, and they go to our skin, and they go to our kidneys, and we experience multisystemic issues. They affect our thyroid. There's some evidence that it could be driving breast cancer. It absolutely does disrupt your hormones. That's crazy, because when I learned more about mold, and I got so sick with mold 2 years ago. I was for 3 months. For 3 months, I was 4 months. For 4 months, I was like, you could tell that I was not fine. And then once I got myself out of the mold and started healing, it took another 6 months for me to be back to normal, or close to normal. I think I'm about 100% now. And this is 2 years later,
Wow.
So it like, I have friends right now, because we live in, LA, and they live in Venice. They're right by the ocean. They are suffering from mold. Really, my friend hasn't had a home for 2 months because he's been living at home where there's no mold. And he got really sick. His girlfriend got really sick. So when I learned about mold, I was like, here's the thing. If there's a family of 4 and one of the family members is suffering, no one's going to think environment, because everyone's going to go, well, the rest of my family should be sick then, if that's the case, right? But the problem is like, if you have a kid who's suffering from anything and no one's putting their finger on it, no doctor, you brought them to every specialist, right? No one's putting their finger on it. You have to check them for mold with a naturopathic or functional doctor. And I venture to say that more times than not, that child who you can't put your finger on, things like let's say pandas, which is a neurological disease in children. Let's say skin issues that are not going away for children, constant infections, sinus infections, children getting UTIs. Like, why? What the heck? If you see this happening over and over and something's not going away for your kid, check them for mold. And I swear, let's say 8, 9, 10 out of 10, you're going to find that they have really high levels of mold. And that's crazy for me that it's not on the forefront, and it should be the new kale, because everyone should be talking about it. Everyone.
Oh my goodness. I'm so grateful just to have you explain all this and to be able to share it, because you're right. I mean, listen, I have friends that have been mutual friends who have been very sick from mold. One of our mutual friends' daughter got really sick and now has a condition that she has to she lives with, and we call her the mold whisperer, because she can literally go to a home and sense if there's mold, and so she won't go in. But it's that prevalent, it's that real, and it's important that people are aware of this. And I think, again, like, people could be walking around going, oh, I have allergies, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's like, maybe not. So,
and maybe that's how it starts, right?
Sure.
Maybe we bring your child to the allergist and they go, oh, it looks like spruce came up, and yeah, they might be allergic to like oak and spruce, right? Or cat dander, but they're not testing for mold. That might be the reason why their immune system is becoming hyperactive. And then they're not being removed from the cause over and over. They're living in the home. No one knows. That allergy turns into eczema, sinus infections. That eczema and sinus infection, all of a sudden your kid has an autoimmune disease. They're 13 years old. Then all of a sudden that autoimmune disease becomes a neurological disease. Now they have something more serious. Now they're living with a chronic disease throughout that they're diagnosed with, and the doctor goes, they're going to have this for their life. You see what I'm saying? Like, and I had a roommate who had POTS and autoimmune disease, and she was a mold whisperer too. Like, when it's funny because she was my roommate. So when we were looking for places a few years ago, I was like, she stepped in, and then I looked around, and I'm like, "Is good?" And she's like, "Yeah, come in." and then she gave me the okay, because I knew I was still suffering with mold. So it's just crazy. It's true, because our body becomes hypersensitive. Our immune system, it's like, our immune system is now vigilant towards those mold toxins and mold spores. But I had black mold in my place. And when I moved there, like, we learned about mold in school, but not like that. Like, we didn't, it wasn't a big part of environmental medicine. Naturopathic medicine should do a better job about talking about this, but now it's getting hotter. So we'll see. But the thing is, it's like, I was in the place, it was brand new renovated. I would have never known. Like, to me, it was an old structure, but brand new renovated. So I'm like, oh, everything's new.
Yeah.
But I didn't even like think to look under the sinks or like around the toilet or anywhere like where there's water, sinks, tubs. I'm telling you, within a week, I was like, within 2 weeks, it's like I had dementia. It was like within like, and I was starting a podcast in a month, so it was like crazy. It was crazy. Like, my friends were like, whoa, you're like, the only thing I could describe is it sort of like makes you a shell of yourself. Wow. The life, like the redness in your cheeks, the oomph that you have, like your personality, everything's on dull mode. That's the way that's what happens. And they found black mold. They found black mold in my room, and I knew, it's like, this is how sensitive. Yeah, it's how sensitive I used to be. I go into every room, and I was like, okay, I don't feel good here. I don't feel good here. Ooh, I don't feel good in my room at all. And when they found it, what they found was connected to the bathroom was a little crawl space through my closet. So in my closet, they opened up the crawl space, and there was like a small little area that leads to behind the tub in the bathroom, like a little behind the wall. And they took samples, and it was like through the roof black mold. And that stuff is nasty. That stuff will like predispose you towards long-term neurological disease if you don't remove yourself from it.
I mean, okay, so then I have to ask you, is there anything that the kind of average individual can do in terms of like looking in their home, or is there some kind of tool or?
Yeah, I think the first start is if you suspect mold. There's a test called the ERMI test, and you can order that online. You don't need a doctor to get it for you, and it'll test your dust. You have to take dust samples, because what happens is these mold spores, they fall to the ground because of their weight, their molecular weight. They go to the ground, and then you could take the dust sample, because it builds up in the dust, and then you send it out, and they won't tell you what species of mold, but they'll go, yeah, you have mold. Actually, they might tell you the species. I'm not sure, but they will tell you have mold in your home.
Okay.
They won't tell you where. but it's a first step, because if you suspect it, then you go, damn, there's mold in the home. Now I need to get an expert. It's a difference between experts that your landlord's going to get, and if someone's going to come in, put up a tripod and take an air sample, where they'll put on a little fan and it'll suck it up, and then they'll take an air sample. They'll take them 20 minutes and they leave. That's not checking for mold. A true mold inspector is going to come into your home with a hazmat suit on, because they're putting their head into moldy areas. They have moisture meters. They're spending about an hour and a half, 2 hours in your home. And my little, at the time, was like 700 square foot apartment. They spend 2.5 hours on the outside and the inside, because they see the home as a living environment.
Yeah.
Right. So they have like these little guns, and they're going, all right, look, let me show you. And they showed me. They go, look, dry, 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 dry. Look at where this mark is. There's moisture right behind that, and look at the number that it's at. I guarantee that behind this wall there's mold. If we broke it down, it's growing and growing and growing and growing. So I have a friend, Brian Carr. He does the We Inspect. That's nationwide. So that's the people that I go to. He was just on my podcast. They're going to come out with a podcast soon, but that's the people that I would call if I suspected it.
That's so helpful.
But look for yourself. Like, so I told you I'm moving to a new place. Yeah. I looked under the sinks. I looked in the bathrooms. I smelled. If you smell something musty, like when you go to a library, that's mold. What you smell is mold.
Right.
That's right. Just it has a distinct smell. When you go to a vintage store, it's mold. It's mold. Yeah. That's what people, and look at the people. It's interesting. Look at the librarians and look at the people behind the counter at the vintage store. You may notice they have dark spots under their eye. Right. And you may know, you may notice, because I see a lot of people who have mold with dark spots under their eye. And you may notice that, like, these people may not know, they may be suffering with health issues and not knowing that their workplace is the reason they're sick.
That's so heavy. And you know what it makes me think, and this is something also I wanted to present in this conversation with you. I mean, especially in the life that we're living today with everything, related to, I won't even say it, but I'm like, I feel like it's like fucking Voldemort at this point.
You can't say it.
Yeah. No, but the interesting thing is like, oh, but they were so healthy. And then I'm like, okay, first of all, but I think people don't even, healthy isn't just, oh, I eat salads and I'm not overweight. Right. Healthy, I mean, if you're listening to this conversation, is way more layered, way more complex.
100%.
Right. And people
I've seen CrossFitters who eat so well and so fit in a cancer clinic. I've seen triathletes in cancer clinics. Yeah. See what I mean? Yes. Like, I've seen people who are more fit than I'll ever be in my life in cancer clinics. That is just a part of the equation. And it's not just genes. The genes are the predisposition. The spectrum of health, that all the things we're talking about, environmental medicine, eating well. Basically, the rule of thumb is, I go, all right, what's health? Health is how close or far am I away from nature? And people think nature, they're like, oh, well, I go to the woods sometimes. That's not what I mean. What I mean is, like, how did you evolve? And are you closest to that? Are you seeing the sun rise in the morning? Are you seeing the sunset at night? Are you catching midday sun? Do you know how we evolved? We were outside all day. And then and we slept on the floor. Like, we got nature's, or the world's, electromagnetic frequencies. We got that natural grounding. We have to think, okay, that doesn't mean go sleep on the floor, but that does mean, okay, if you're working in a cubicle 9 to 5, you better make sure that you're taking that time in the morning for yourself. You're taking that time after work for yourself to see the sunset. And then when I was working my residency, I don't care, rain or shine in Philadelphia, I was outside. Like, we had a nice little garden just around, like, some sort of breathing in plants, breathing in trees, right? And then the other part is, like, what are your stress levels? We didn't evolve to be on our phones and looking at, like, all of these fake images that don't serve us, and our attention span being like here. We evolved to hear nature. We evolved to see panoramic views. We evolved to be in tribes, to have deep connection, like familial connection with friends. For me, this is true health and healing. Like, and then, are we eating closest to nature? There's so many schools of thought that says we just ate meat, we just ate plants. What I'll just say is, like, are you eating whole food? Are you eating close? Is it in a package or is it not? Because I guarantee your ancestors were not, or cavemen were not opening up boxes of, even if it's healthy granola, boxes of healthy granola. I'm not trying to villainize it, but I'm just trying for people to understand, like, and physically, like, we were exposed to hot and really cold. Are we exposing our body to that hormetic stress? And of course, the exercise, the movement, the motion, right? The walking, the joints, the functional lifting. These are this is life. This is health, right? And unfortunately, so if you think about a spectrum, I'm talking about this one side of spectrum that is really, really bright. Like we are just shining in health. The other part of it is like how we live. The other part of it is like, oh, I don't take off my shoes at all. I live in the city. I have pavement everywhere. Oh, I haven't seen the sunrise in forever. What do you mean? I wake up and I go straight to work. I drink coffee. I'm on my phone all day. You know what I mean? I let my boss stress me out. I have no practice to come back to myself. I have no spiritual self. See what I mean? That's a standard.
God, you're so good. No, listen. I mean, I'm sure all of the people who know me, my community, listening to this are like, they know how I'm feeling inside because, like, first of all, my morning ritual is the most sacred time to me. This is how I move, Dr. G. I go yin, yang, yin. That is the energy in my day. First thing, I have 2 homes, one in Vegas, one by the beach. I'm either in the sand or feet are on the grass, taking in full spectrum light, meditation, reading, journaling. This is me time, non-negotiable, how I start my day, how I end my day. All lights come down. Himalayan sea salts, like screen, like the reishi tea. Let's talk about your rituals. But I'm just saying, like, people know, and so I'm so with you on everything that you just shared. Take us through some of your, non-negotiable optimization, health and wellness optimization habits that you have, rituals, all the things.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Last year I used to do like 3 full hours of rituals, nothing. And then I'm like, okay, I need to like do more. Like that's just ridiculous. It's not.
It's not.
So I sort of consolidated them, but I also expanded on my night one. So for me, really, really easy stuff. And I try to keep it when I talk about my rituals so people can do it too. Right. So now they take about an hour to an hour and a half, right? An hour and a half when I'm really feeling it. But I'll wake up, and I think one of the most important things we can do when we wake up is bring gratitude towards just at least one thing. For me, I'm like, all right, I woke up and I'm sleeping on this wonderful bed and not the floor. I feel great. Already you're in that theta state of being like, oh, I'm just like very easily impressionable. And you say something like that to yourself, it's really nice. And then I get up and then I open the door and I look at the sun without my glasses, without my contacts, and getting in that spectrum of light. And really important for our cortisol too. We want to boost up our cortisol really early on. So within 10 to 20 minutes of waking up, just try to get some natural light, not from the window, but outside, right? Even if it's foggy, go outside. You want to get daylight, basically.
Yes.
I'll brush my teeth. I'll sit on my couch and I'll meditate for anywhere from like 15 to 30 minutes. If I'm deep and I'm in another world, it might be an hour.
Yeah.
Like I might wake up and be like, holy shit, what time is it? Like, where was I?
Yeah.
I was just talking to aliens and my ancestors,
I do know.
And then one thing, and then after, like, so I try to keep like that presentness, that mindfulness. And the whole point of why I do these things is because I want to have my day be set up so that my system, my nervous system knows that the day is safe. The morning is safe, therefore it's likely the afternoon is safe. But I mean safe, it's not like robbers coming in and robbing me. It's more like, even if a stressful event happens in the day, my nervous system is already primed through the morning to go, we're good. Like we're strong. And it's cumulative. The more you do it, the more your nervous system goes, we're good. We're safe. The world is safe. I'll go outside. I'll do a nice mindful walk. I usually used to bring my headphones and like, I love music, but there's so much value in silence. Yeah. There's so much. And I say that again, because people don't understand this, because I was big victim of this, but myself, every silent moment, I had some sort of distraction, whether it was music, TV. Let's say I'm cleaning my place. I'm like, oh, I'll just put on a background show and it'll be fun. Or I'll put on some music. But a lot of us run away from the importance of silence. And in that silence is some of the most beautiful things you can ever imagine. Here's why. In that silence is that now moment. And in that now moment, you're the most peaceful you can ever be. There is no worry in the world. There's no such thing as anxiety. There's no such thing as depression when you're in that now moment.
Yeah.
So what I try to do every day is get into a deep now moment. So I'll go outside. I'm blessed to have like this beautiful nature behind. I'll walk and I'll just stare at like a bush and I'll be like, and I'll think about what are my stories about the bush? What are my concepts about the bush? And are they blinding what it really is? Like I want to see something for what it is. So if I get rid of it and I could just be with it, like truly, deeply, strongly be with it, that is so powerful. Why? Because then that translates to how we see the world. We get to see people for what they are truly. Like, and you'll find most people are beautiful on the inside. And you'll get to see, holy shit, like this person is so beautiful. They just have these stories and these concepts and these ego protective mechanisms. That dude is not a dick. She's not a bitch. Like
Yeah.
they're both like just there's so much pain in them, but they're so beautiful. And you can learn that from a damn bush. Isn't that crazy?
I love it so much. No, it's not to me. And I think it's powerful and it really is applicable. Like I love what you just shared too, because this is stuff that, anyone can start doing right now in their lives and start feeling better and being, I always say, this was like, you talk about like downloading information. I downloaded this years ago, but we are an experience. So yes, my name is Roxanne, you're Dr. G. I love salmon, you love sun, whatever. But at the end of the day, I'm giving you an experience. You're giving me one. We're giving our listeners one, right? What is that experience? And that experience is going to depend a lot on the experience that we're giving ourselves. Like, who are we within our own self? So I feel like, the bush, just using that example, it's like, this is allowing you to get closer to who you are and to elevate who you are. And then that experience translates back into the world. And it's, there's a ripple effect.
You said it so beautifully. That is literally exactly what it is. And that's why rituals are important. Yes. That's why, because if we wake up, reach for our phone, get on Instagram, start reading emails, start answering texts back, then we've lost that sacred opportunity to change our lives. Yes. Completely. We've lost that sacred opportunity not only to change our lives, but you said we change ourselves, we change our frequency, we show up in the world very differently. And then now we've changed the life of that coworker who's a real dick to me. But then he's like, I don't get it. Like every time I put up that protective mechanism of being a dick with Christian, he's just like so like loving to me. Like I don't understand like why he's just so at peace. Like I can feel, and sometimes it's something that we don't even see. Like that person might be like, Christian never said anything, he never did anything, but he just feels something about me. Like he can be safe, he can be himself. Yes. He doesn't have to be sick. See what I'm saying? That's how you change people's lives. Sometimes you even need to open your mouth, but you do need to know thyself, right? Like that's part of where Heal Thyself, my show came from. It's know thyself too. It's like, to know thyself, you need rituals. You need that time. You need time to face yourself in silence. You need time to write a journal, to meditate. You just need time away. And this is like, you are your most important person in your life. And I say that to everyone, even moms. You are, because the way you show up is the way the most sacred gift you can be is to be that frequency for your children. So then they feel it and they go, oh my God, no, like this is so natural to me. This is how I show up in the world. That's how you raise kids, right? When you're whole, when you found that you've always been whole. That's the most beautiful thing, right? Because then you don't need to teach your kids anything. You just need to be. Isn't that wild?
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. Oh, you're amazing. Okay, listen, I feel I want to honor your time. I'm so grateful. There's so many things I haven't even tapped into. Let me, and there's a few things that I'd like to do with all my guests to wrap out. I want to ask you, if you had a magic wand and you can give the masses one habit that would have a large positive ripple effect in their life, what would it be and why?
Rituals are a set of habits. I would say within the rituals, it would be silence. Within the rituals, it would be silence. It would just be to, I love journaling,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and you see a lot of you in the journal.
Mm-hmm.
Take that journal and put it down and just sit. And
Mm-hmm.
you will find that most people cannot even sit, right? Take that journal out, and certainly no phone, and just feel what it is to be, right? Because then you'll find if you put that journal down, then your mind starts thinking, oh, I have to do this, I have to go there, I have to.
Yeah.
Just stop and completely be mindful and present with what's around you. You don't have to just be in nature. You could be in a rooftop in New York City.
Right.
Listen to the cars, listen to the sounds, close your eyes and just be in that moment. If you can learn how to be, not do,
Yeah.
but be, that is the broad stroke, like a broad stroke change into your life, because that addresses so much, including that stress that's pushing your eczema, that stress that's pushing your autoimmune disease. If you can be from moment to moment, if the majority of your day, that's the goal, the majority of your day, morning to night, you bead all day, right? Like even when you're viewing, you're still in B. Even when you're answering an email, you're literally just answering the email. You're not answering the email and then thinking about paying your bills and thinking about your doctor's appointment coming up. You're being. If you could be in that state, man, I personally believe no physical disease can live in that state.
Oh, it's so good. It's so powerful. And it's so important considering how inundated we are these days with everything, you know, the phone, all of it. So and I agree with you. I say that often on my channels too. Like most people can't just be with themselves, you know?
No, I have a neighbor here. I don't want to say it too loud. I have a neighbor here that's been doing construction since the first day I was here. I'm like, bro, can't you just be? Like, why is it every single day you have to be cutting wood? Like, can you just stop? Like, your home is fine. It looks great. Do you know what I mean? Like,
well, there's just, because the people need distractions.
Yeah, exactly.
That,
So, that's what it is. But you will notice, and this is what I noticed myself. Even listening to music in those silent moments was a distraction for me, because I didn't want to face things that I needed to face. Right. And we know it. We're so smart that we find distractions. I would go out, I would meet friends, I would go to dinners. And then when I was home, I'd be like, oh, well, I'm home alone, but it's fine. I could be alone. It's fine. I love solitude, but I'm playing music the whole time. Right. Oh, I love solitude, but I have New Girl on Netflix. It's so funny. You know what I mean? Like, or like I'm home alone, but I'm on like FaceTime with someone the whole time. See what I mean? Like, what does it truly mean to just like turn off your phone? And how would you feel even at the prospect of just sitting on your couch morning to night? How does that make you feel? Does it give you anxiety? Because if it gives you anxiety, you may be just distracting yourself from something that needs to come up in that anxiety.
Oh, okay. That's such a gem. Thank you. Listen, I want to have more conversations with you. I want people to know, there's one more aspect that I got to tap into, but before I go there, I want people to know they need to go to your Instagram, your podcast. I mean, all of this will be in the show notes and everything, but just in terms of nutrition, because I didn't even get to talk about that with you. And you're such a G in this arena, I've learned so much about brands that are not legit from you. And so I just have to insert that in here, and hopefully we can have another conversation down the line and kind of tap into all that. But before I roll us out, is there anything that you haven't spoke on yet you wish more people would ask you about, or that you would just like to live in this conversation? And no worries if not, because we tapped into a lot of deep, amazing shit.
Yeah. I would just urge people to take some time with their body, like learn how to start having a friendship with your body, because it's you, but it's also conscious. And I've gotten into like many deep meditations or breath works or ceremonies where I've seen that and known that my body in itself is its own innate inherent intelligence, and it knows exactly what it's doing. You cut your foot and it knows how to heal, right? The same energy is always trying to heal you, is always trying to keep you in balance, not just physical disruptions like a cut in the foot, but mental, emotional traumas. So if you understand that the body holds in that trauma, it's very hard to have that released if you don't have a relationship with your body, right?
Yes.
Because then you're not allowing it, and you don't even know you're unconsciously suppressing those emotions of allowing it. So I would urge people to take some time with their body every single day, maybe even as part of your ritual. Lay down and go head to toe. What feels off? You know, start talking to it. Just be like, yo, I love you. I love you.
Yes.
Thank you for keeping me in balance. You know, I never, like, your body loves the attention. Trust me. It loves to know that it's doing a good job. It loves to know that it's keeping you healthy. And it's weird to say, right? Because they're like, what do you mean? I am my body. It's, you're kind of not. You're right. You are part of your body, but your body in itself has its own wisdom. If you were your body, you'd be the one consciously healing the cut. No, it ain't you. It's something else. So, but that something else is trying to release that deep-seated trauma in your body. And if we allow it, then it will heal. But the way to allow it is that we first have to have a relationship with it. And by having a relationship with it, then we allow that trauma to flow out. And if we surrender, the big word is surrender, we go, hey, body, you do what you need to do.
Yes.
If you need to shake, jerk, convulse, rapidly breathe, slow breathe, if you need to vomit, if you need to dry heave, whatever your beautiful body needs to do to heal, if you remove yourself and go, what am I doing? This isn't safe. Oh my God. The body knows what it's doing. Trust in it, surrender, and let that body release that stuff. Because when I see trauma being released in people, it's nothing short of like a cinematic exorcism. It's crazy. I'm like, holy shit. I was like, that person's body's twisting, contorting, jerking, shaking. That person is dry heaving. That person is releasing all of this crap that's like, the body knows, wow, look at this person, they're rapidly breathing. Are they hyperventilating? No. Okay, it's fine. Because now they're slowly breathing. So understand, your body knows what to do. The whole point is this: don't be scared. Your body knows what to do. First, develop the friendship relationship with your body, and then invite the body. It's listening. Invite the body to release what it's been holding. It's been protecting you, but go, hey, body, I love you. I'm going to remove myself out the way. I'm going to remove all of my conscious or subconscious protective mechanisms, and I'm going to allow you to release. I love you. Let that stuff go. And I promise you, you will be a different human being. Your energy will be different. Your frequency will be different. People are going to notice. Your physical symptoms may even be disappearing out of nowhere.
That's so badass. Yo, listen, like I always say to my body when I'm done meditating, I move down my chakras and my gut. I just, I'm like, you are my bodyguard and I am your bodyguard and I love you and we are a team. And I just recently tore my calf muscle and about like 5 weeks ago, and literally you say the word surrender. And I just, when it happened, I was like, okay, I'm letting go. I love you. I trust you. I will not push. I will do whatever you need me to do. So
Right.
you're just like, it's so good what you just shared.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I would urge, if there's any doctors listening, start exploring this and do this for your patients, because it can be game changing. It actually is game changing. I'm not going to lie. It is the root. So and look, be wary if any doctor goes, I have the root cause to everything. I just know, in my experience and my patient's experience, it has been life changing, and it sounds like yours too. So there you go.
Yay. Okay. Well, thank you so much. With all of my heart, please let our listeners know. I mean, and I will obviously be blasting as well, podcasts, best places to stay connected. I know at the end of last year, you launched the Swell Score, right?
Yeah. So a bunch of things going.
So many things.
The Heal Thyself podcast. I do have my own podcast, Heal Thyself podcast. Take a listen. I do a lot of those things like product reviews. I do knowledge bombs based on many different things. Last week we did how the relationship with your phone and anxiety and what the studies are. And I quote a lot of studies. And then we have awesome guests come on. And then we have the Swell Score. It's a platform where we've handpicked, we've done research for you. So basically, like, if I get so many DMs, Dr. G, what's the best magnesium? What's the best B12? What's the best rhodiola herb? And I go, instead of people searching all over the internet, researching what the best company is for this, best mushrooms out there, we handpick them ourselves. We go, this is third-party tested. You want high quality therapeutic where you're not going to take, where you have to take 10, or that if you take 2, it's not going to work. This is all the best of the best. We have it on one platform. It's a membership based. It's like Thrive Market.
Yep.
I would urge people, listen, if you take supplements, you get them from there, period. Like, you're going to get the best of the best, and you don't have to worry anymore. It's awesome thing we did. And then And then from the Swell Score, we have our own show called How You Living with me and my friend. It's much lighter than what I, in Heal Thyself, it's like, here, learn, take notes, you know, but this is like just conversation. So if you feel like hearing a light conversation, that's on YouTube, How You Living. And my Instagram is at dr.christian, Gonzalez with a Z. Man, and I don't know what else I'm doing. I'm gonna do a bunch of other ebooks. I think I want to start releasing some ebooks so people have in their hands. Like, here's the best protein powders of 2021, 10 pages. You can refer to it always. You know, I talk about it on my podcast, but a lot of people will listen, but they're not going to take all these notes.
Right.
You know, so I'm thinking about releasing a bunch of ebooks. Website is out June. We're making moves out here.
Yo, you are on fire. And I want you to know, I mean, first, let me thank you. You are such a contributor. I really, really, there's so much reverence here for you. And I want you to know that I'm here in full support of you and what you are doing. And we got to meet in person. And, you know, fortunately we live in, you know, close enough to where we can do that. But yeah, all things that will be coming, you know, from you still, you can expect me to support you. I'm very, very grateful for all of your time and really everything that, you know, the way that you show up. You're the fucking real thing. And that's something that I really value and appreciate. So thank you so much.
I love it. Thank you for having me here. Your authenticity is infectious. I appreciate that.
Oh, thank you. All right. Talk to you soon.
All right.